It is the year 2135. The people lived in fear and poverty, and they were constantly oppressed and mistreated. One of these people was a man named Thariel. He was the son of a poor blacksmith, and his family had always been unfairly mistreated by the council. They had been denied access to education and opportunities, and they had been forced to live in the slums. Despite this, Thariel was a determined and resilient young man. He was determined to make a better life for himself and his family, and he worked hard to learn new skills and to improve his circumstances. Thariel was well known in the slums as he was always helping other people with repairing their household appliances. He was an inventor who had a knack for technology and mechanical engineering. However, no matter how hard he tried, Thariel could not escape the clutches of the council. They saw him as a threat, not only because of his intelligence and resourcefulness, but also because of his popularity and influence in the slums. They were afraid that Thariel would inspire others to rise up against their oppressive rule. One day, Thariel's worst fears were realized. He was shocked when a group of council soldiers led by Raxa, the cold and heartless leader of the council, surrounded their home with their weapons drawn. Raxa was a man who commanded respect and fear wherever he went, and he was not someone to be trifled with. He was a ruthless and cunning leader, and he would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. Thariel knew that his presence there was not a good sign.
What is the meaning of this?
Thariel demanded, his voice filled with anger.
What are you doing in my home?
Thariel trembled as Raxa approached him in the doorway. Raxa sneered, his eyes gleaming with malice.
We have come for your family, Thariel,
he said, his tone dripping with contempt.
They have been accused of treason and they will stand trial for their crimes.
Thariel's blood boiled with rage as he watched the soldiers drag his family away, their screams echoing in his ears. He tried to intervene, but he was overpowered and beaten. He knew that his family had been arrested because of the threat he posed to the council. He watched helplessly as his family was loaded into a menacing prisoner transport vehicle. As the soldiers left, Thariel stood alone in his empty home, his heart heavy with grief and guilt. He knew that he had to do something, and he vowed to do whatever it took to free his family and to bring down the corrupt and oppressive rule of the council. Days passed and Thariel could not do anything to free his family. He felt powerless and frustrated. He was devastated when news reached him that his family was killed in cold blood by the treacherous Raxa. Thariel vowed to seek justice for his family, and he dedicated his life to fighting against the tyranny of the council. He knew that it would be a long and difficult journey, but he was determined to see it through, no matter what the cost. As word of Thariel's plight spread through the slums, many people began to see him as a symbol of hope and resistance. They admired his courage and his determination, and they began to rally around him. A secret revolutionary group was formed among Thariel's close circle of friends, and they began to plan and plot against the council. They knew that they were vastly outnumbered and outgunned, but they were fueled by a sense of righteousness and a desire for change. Thariel and his revolutionary group had been working tirelessly for months to gather resources and build support among the people. They knew that their chances of success were slim, but they also knew that they had to try. They were determined to fight for a better future for themselves and for all the people of Morkfall. Every night, Thowriel and his friends would sneak out of their homes and into the shadows, moving stealthily through the streets and alleys of the slums. They were constantly on the lookout for patrols and spies, knowing that one wrong move could spell disaster. In one of his operations, he met an unexpected ally. It was a fateful day when Thowriel was moving stealthily in the crowded marketplace. He was looking for prospective allies for hours already, and he was beginning to feel discouraged. No one seemed interested in his cause, and he was starting to wonder if he would ever find the support the group needed. Just when he was about to give up, a man approached him, a curious expression on his face.
What is it that you're trying to do?
The man asked, his voice laced with skepticism. Thowriel took a deep breath, trying to calm his nerves.
I'm trying to gather support for a secret revolutionary group,
he said, trying to sound confident.
We want to overthrow the corrupt and oppressive rule of the council and bring about real change to this world.
The man raised an eyebrow, his interest piqued.
And then what made you think that you can do that?
He asked. Thowriel hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to answer.
I believe that with the right people and the right plan, we can succeed.
He said, his voice filled with determination.
We just need someone to believe in us.
The man looked at Thowriel for a moment, then nodded.
My name is Zavion,
He said, offering his hand.
and I think I might just be the ally you're looking for.
From that point onwards, Zavion became a close friend to Thowriel and an important ally of the revolutionary group. Zavion assisted in planning and day-to-day operations of the group. As they moved from place to place, Thowriel and his friends would stop and talk to people, trying to gauge their mood and their support for the cause. They listened to their grievances and their hopes, and they tried to offer them words of encouragement and support. Many of the people they spoke to were skeptical and fearful at first, but as they listened to Thowriel's words and saw his determination and his conviction, they began to open up. They shared their stories of hardship and abuse, and they told Thowriel and his friends about the injustices they had suffered at the hands of the council. Thowriel and his friends listened to these stories with hearts full of sorrow and rage. They knew that they had to do something to help these people, and they vowed to fight for their rights and their freedom. As they worked to gather resources and build support, Thowriel and his friends also worked to expose the corruption and abuses of the council. They smuggled out documents and evidence, and they passed it along to trusted allies who could use it to expose the truth to the world. As the years went by, Thowriel and his revolutionary group grew in strength and numbers. They worked tirelessly to expose the corruption and abuses of the council, and they began to gain support from all corners of Morkfall.